There's been a lot of talk at the moment around how recruitment's broken.
Where we're probably going wrong is we've lost that human touch. It's not very human-centric anymore. The lack of closure, I think also the lack of emotional intelligence and actual empathy from recruiters.
You put your time and effort in, at least have the respect to hear back and get back to the candidate.
I've done 4 stages, I'm at 8 people. How can nobody have anything to say about me that is either good or bad? People talk about TA metrics. They're flawed because, once again, they're always geared towards the number. Bad experiences spread like wildfire. I was ghosted by the head of TA, and you put that on LinkedIn, you're seen as being the problem. No, I just want a fair process.
What are the 3 things that all TA leaders should focus on foundationally to get right? Hello and welcome to Hiring on All Cylinders. I'm Chris Abbass, and today I'm joined by Dominic Joyce, or should I say the Maverick Otter? Is that your new moniker now?
When it suits, yeah. When it suits, yeah. It's there's been a lot of good feedback on that name, and in all honesty, man, it just kind of derived from just what I do in recruitment, being a maverick, and then, in all honesty, otters, they're just fucking cute, man. So it was just my favourite animal, so that kind of amalgamated to kind of being a business name, and here we are.
So you're a cute maverick, is what you're saying?
What I'm trying to say is, yeah, I don't play by the rules, but I'm also cute with it as well, right? That's it.
Awesome. So that actually is leads on nicely to the topic we have. It's a bit controversial. I know you've got a lot of opinions about it, but there's been a lot of talk at the moment around how recruitment's broken. There's been a very famous influencer that came out with that statement and got a bit of heat. So we're here to talk about why it's not broken, but maybe fractured or sprained, perhaps. So I guess let's start by talking about, from your point of view, what are the biggest issues or challenges that are happening in the industry right now that you see?
So I was, for those of you that obviously know me, I feel like a knob saying that, but you know what I mean? As in, like, those of you that know me from LinkedIn will know that I spent half a year on the job market, and what I've seen during that 6 months has been quite eye-opening. You obviously use the platform regularly, you hear things, you see things, but it's why it's probably fractured and sprained rather than broken is, someone put a post out the other day, there's lots of roles being posted, not a lot of people getting hired, which is quite ironic. So people are posting about ghosting, lack of feedback. I think the problem is when you have more platforms to basically communicate on and share your thoughts and opinions, it'll amplify it 10 times over, right? People have been encouraged to kind of personal brand more on LinkedIn, have a voice. So probably what you've seen is that it has amplified, more having a voice and sharing their opinions, but also there's more recruiters on the market that, again, use the platform, that are sharing their opinion, sharing their voice. I think where we're probably going wrong is we've lost that human touch. It's not very human-centric anymore. Become very transactional. It's become a case of, if you're good enough, we'll contact you. If not, you may get an email to say, sorry, no thanks. Personal experience, I applied to 175 jobs in 6 months. The tracker that I've got, 87 people came back to me. So literally that's half the people that I could be still in play. I might be getting a phone call tomorrow about a job. I don't know, but it's the lack of closure. I think also the lack of emotional intelligence and actual empathy from recruiters is the actual issue right now, is that people, let's face it, as a candidate, I just want closure. I want to be treated fairly in the process, be closed out, get some form of feedback if I enter it into an interview, and that's it. The problem is that people are being left on red. That's the comparison, right? It's just being seen but not engaged with. And then that amplifies too as well when you have people that don't use their intelligence on LinkedIn. So the market right now is quite buoyant for recruiters. You've got a job that's posted on your company website. Don't then go on LinkedIn and say, I'm hiring for a recruiter, because what you're going to do is create this almost like a bum fight of people trying to apply to jobs. You look on LinkedIn now, 100 CVs within an hour to a recruiter job. And of course, you can't deal with the volume. People aren't set up to deal with the volume. And you've had companies that have reduced headcount, and even from senior leaders, myself, peers have been let go because of budgets, with the view to have AI coming in to support those cumbersome tasks. But the irony is that you're cutting budgets and cutting headcounts, but then AI is not cheap. So you're offsetting the cost of people to implement AI into it. So in a roundabout way right now, it's poorly run, it's human-centric, it's not human-centric, it's transactional, people, and also, look, it's the nepotism, the cronyism, the bias, ageism that's currently out there right now. it's rife in now. I've been in processes where I know that someone's got the job because they know somebody. I've been told that I didn't have a certain amount of experience that I was lacking. The person then was hired didn't have it either. So it's a face fit. And it's again because TA is now the ambassador. It's the branding piece. They want people that can look and sound like the company. Doesn't matter whether you've got 10 years experience, you've hired in this area. If your face doesn't fit, they won't hire you. I was told at the last stage that I wasn't being hired because they had to hire a female by the board, and I was like, fine, but don't tell me at last stage. Tell me, don't put me through the process. So that's what's kind of happened recently in the market. It's just, and yeah, as we'll talk about later on, it's the kind of hangover too from that 2021 hiring glut of recruiters, where for the first time there was more hires or live roles for recruiters than what there was for developers.
Yeah, interesting. And when you're talking, it makes me feel like, do you think this has always been the case? It's just you've got this window into it in the last 6 months that's really highlighted it for you? Or do you think these problems have been exacerbated and actually are becoming more pernicious, as we're in this kind of difficult market?
Talentful provides flexible recruiting solutions to the world's most ambitious companies. Are you thinking about ways to add flexibility to your talent function? With recent market volatility and hiring set to return to growth mode in the near future, there's never been a better time to choose the right partner to help you scale. Talentful's embedded sourcing, recruiting, coordination, and talent advisory services have been trusted by the world's leading brands. Companies such as Atlassian, Microsoft, Expedia, Pinterest, Waymo, and more. Whether you're hiring across engineering, go-to-market, or G&A, Talentful has got you covered. To find out how Talentful can help you, visit talentful.com.
It's always happened, right? I've been in recruitment for 10 years now, and on the side, I CV write, I career coach. It's the same thing that people experience all the time. I just think it's amplified. I think as TA is going through a really dark spell right now, people being let go, and look at the platform. Generally, TA professionals put the most traffic out there, the most content. So the fact they're on the market more and they're sharing their opinions, like myself, right? I always post daily, and my kind of content from posting about careers advice, CV advice, market behaviours to being like, today I got 3 rejections and no feedback. So again, and am I leading a kind of an influence behind it? Potentially, because then people are sharing, they're feeling brave and vulnerable to kind of share their own experiences. No one's obviously calling out companies, right? It's just not a taboo thing to do, right? But it's always been there. It's just, I think, because TA are affected right now, they're kind of screaming the loudest, which makes it seem like it's happening frequently. But I coach clients for careers and interviews in all spaces, like finance, marketing. They all say the same thing: ghosting, no feedback, long processes. Like, it's overkill.
And it's not just not hearing back from applications. It's you could go through 1-2 stages and then you're just ghosted, right? We're not talking about you're not getting just a normal rejection email. You could put in a lot of time and effort and still not hear back. And I feel like that's the most egregious point, is if you put your time and effort in, at least have the respect to hear back and get back to the candidate.
Yeah, I think I put a poll out recently saying to managers and recruiters, we were giving feedback, how were you taught? Did you kind of just go solo and just fly by the seat of your pants and learn it yourself? Were you given training? And most of them were like self-taught. I did it myself, and it's a case of the feedback thing's a big issue, right? Because do you find too, when people get told no, here's your feedback, they're almost joyous that they got the feedback.
Yeah.
Even though it's a no, they actually have something to work on, to be developing themselves on. But in all my 6 months on the market there, it was very flimsy. Someone else had this experience. So I think the problem is people are scared to give it and scared to actually deliver it. In reality, we all want that kind of that closure, and it just doesn't happen. I think it's also accountability. Who gives that? Is it the manager? Is it the recruiter? And establishing that at the point of contact for the role. Like, if you deliver it to me, I'll give it to the candidate. But no one's doing that. So, of course, it's the assumption that if I just ghost them, they'll get the picture. But in reality, it's damaging to your brand, candidate experience. And we're, as TA, we're brand ambassadors, right? We're the first point of call when they apply to a role. Hey, you apply to the role. It's our chance to really kind of leave that lasting impression And before we've done boomerang candidate stats and reports to ensure that we care those that come into the process actually come back again. So we track people that came into a role, didn't get it, but came back and applied again. Like, it's so important, but it's so overlooked.
Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right. It's one of those kind of eat the frog situations where people just put it off because it is, no one enjoys giving someone negative feedback or saying they haven't got it. And I think it's this avoidance of just, like you said, they get the point after a certain time, which isn't great. And as you said, really does impact brand. To play devil's advocate here and have a discussion around it, I've heard a lot of people say it puts us in legal danger. If I give a candidate feedback, they interpret it in the wrong way, or they sue the company because they might see that as bias or whatever else. So instead of putting recruiters in harm's way, or maybe putting them in a position where they could slip up or say the wrong thing, they just put a blanket ban of you can't give any feedback. It's just a no. Thanks for your time. What do you think about that? And is there a way that we can still have that human touch, whilst avoiding some of that danger?
It's tough, right? Because of course, in certain countries and states in the US, you can't give feedback. I think from a UK point of view, right, it's about deliverance. It's the same when you go to market to approach a candidate about a role, right? It's how you pitch it. It's the feeling they get behind it. It's showcasing, again, emotional intelligence, empathy, understanding, compassion. So you didn't get the role, here's why, and it being constructive. To say, here's, I hate the term shit sandwich, right? It's the most, but you don't want it to kind of be a case of you didn't do well, X, Y, Z, sorry. It's a case of, right, we love meeting you.
Yeah.
These traits of yours are amazing. Keep using these moving forwards. Where you let yourself down a little bit compared to other candidates as a comparison is X, Y, Z. And it's about, again, giving them something to work on as a professional. I think people always want to self-develop, whether it's off their own accord, if it's obviously from a company, or via feedback. Like, I crave feedback from managers, peers. Like, if I'm doing something wrong, please tell me. Like, I want to learn what I do well, but also where I need to develop, because in essence, down my career journey, that will help me in times to come. And I think, look, you can't help those one candidates that basically have delusions of grandeur about their own skill set, and they know that because they look at an advert, they're the right person for the role. We all know there's more factors at hand to that. It's not just about can you do the job, but also, are you a good person? Will you fit with the team? Is there an ego behind you there? And it's a case of, as TA, it's how you then disarm those concerns from the candidate to deliver a really, really detailed closure that's constructive, supportive, that makes them feel, like I said earlier, they want to come back and apply to you again because they enjoyed the experience, but equally they have takeaways to go and learn from, to work on, but also know where their strengths are. That call can take 2 minutes. It's, if it's a call or it's an email, but people deserve that. They've given you your time. They've given you hours of your day. I've had it where I've been into London, met the CPO, COO, and a recruiter to then get told the next day via email, sorry, we've gone with somebody else. And I was like, but I've done 4 stages. I met 8 people. How can nobody have anything to say about me that is either good or bad? And that's what's wrong with TA right now, is that even just good, like, we loved you, someone had more experience in project management, fine, I can't help that. But tell me what I did good, because then I can then know next interview, I'm really good at storytelling. I'll go and use that. But no one's given it. So people don't get any information. And you can just say as well, look, sorry, candidates are more stronger than you because more experience of years. You can't help that as a candidate. That's what they're required. Now, you can then lead that into basically being unconscious age discrimination as well, or indirect age discrimination. But it's how you word it, right? And but I think no one gets it is the issue.
I totally agree. Most people are grateful for any feedback. I mean, most times I've sent a rejection email, like the positive feedback is overwhelming. Like, people just responding and saying, it's the first time I've heard feedback, from an application. Thank you very much for this feedback. When I do a senior role, like when I've been hiring C-level or VP, I've just done a Loom video. That's like, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. But we've had people that were more suitable for this role. Please connect with me on LinkedIn, whatever else. And it took me 2 seconds. But the feedback was, insane. It's like, wow, the industry must be pretty bad if this is the reaction I'm getting from, a 2-second video. It makes me think, when you were talking before about people learning this themselves, maybe it's a training issue. Maybe just people don't know this. I haven't been given the framework like you just laid out. Okay, this is how you deliver sensitive, like, human feedback. And just, maybe that they just don't feel comfortable with doing it.
I think it comes from CPOs, though, and HRDs, and those that kind of look after that function. So for context, I approached a few CPOs when I got bad experience from fellow peers of heads of TA. I was ghosted for a telecoms role by 3 missed calls and never turned up to the calls. And I said to the CPO, FYI, this is what's happening in your current function. It's not great. Like, I might be a one-off, but still, as a head of TA, fellow peer-to-peer, that's not great. And I probably emailed about 12 different CPOs and had HRDs to say, someone was like, by the way, like BMW, great process. I was like, you guys are smashing it. Keep it up. I'll tell you you're doing good. I was like, FYI, I'm not being bitter, not being bitchy. Just as a candidate, like, this is how I felt. Just to let you know. Not one replied.
Wow.
And said, I appreciate your feedback, or I'll look into it. And I was like, well, I'm not owed a reply, right? It's not like a, top voice, give me a reply. It's more, but if you're being told that there's a problem and if you got told that your child was bullying someone at school, do you ignore it or do you go, no, thank you for your feedback, I'll go and fix it, or I'll address it? It's the head in the sand that I think we're seeing a lot of time from whoever's in charge of the TA function, and commonly it is CPOs and HRDs, that don't want to understand. And that's why I kind of launched Maverick Otter. The goal was to kind of go out and say, look, recruitment isn't in the best shape it is right now. Let me help you with regards to kind of coaching on how to give feedback, even just the process, right? How often do you apply to a job and just get the generic, thanks for applying, I'll be in touch. And it's just so cold. Like, literally have fun with it and say, we appreciate you applying. Like, here's, you could apply to anywhere else. We're stoked that you want to work with us. FYI, why are you waiting to hear back from us? Here's our social channels. Here's a recent article we've done around, diversity, equity, inclusion. If you're in the process for this role, here's what it looks like. That's literally copy and paste, right? It takes minutes to construct. And I think the common trend here we're seeing is it's minutes. Now, I appreciate minutes upon minutes are longer, but think of that investment you're putting into doing minutes of things like engagement and feedback to create a stronger personal brand. Because right now, there's a few companies there where I was customers of their products, and how I was treated, like I've literally left services, cancelled services, wouldn't go back to them based on what, as a candidate, I received as a service, right?
There is that saying, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. Do you think there's a better way we can incentivize teams to focus more on this stuff? Is it a case they're just not incentivized? They're being told, get the hires. You've got this hiring target. You got this, conversion target. The focus is on every metric but the candidate experience. Any ideas there around what we could do to maybe force some more attention on this stuff?
I think you can look at the current market to tell you right now that it's an area of focus, right? It's very historic how we measure TA success, right? I did a talk at Talent Connect around quality of hire. And that's the real measure, isn't it, of someone. Like, time to hire is a flawed metric, because you can hire a customer service assistant in weeks. You hire a tax accountant, that's taking you months. So the whole thing is like again, the metrics we use now to measure TA are flawed, quite frankly. Quality of hire is important because we did it on a basis of, right, the probation period is 3 months. Everyone's going to do really, really well to get past that. Let's go into 6 months, right? Let's go to managers. Here's a survey based on John, Jimmy, or Timmy's current performance. Would you rehire? That's how you showcase the true value of a good TA partner, because they understand and listen to the requirements of the role. So in doing so, again, it's about, yes, good candidate experience, but also as well the right person. So I think personally right now, people talk about TA metrics. They're flawed because once again, they're always geared towards the number. If you do the process right and you construct yourself empathetically, you do yourself, in a way that's just being a good person, engagement, take on the journey, storytelling, you will literally gain those highs from that. And I'm back recruiting now in my current job. Nothing different. I just treat people like people. Messages, reassurances. That's all I do. But that's not been done. And I get to your point around the metric side of it. You can obviously get NPS scores to candidates based on your current performance today. In the process, how do you feel that you were met? So rather than just basically getting NPS scores to people that just started who are going to be happy about their new job, how is your onboarding? They're going to go, oh, I love it here. It's my first day. I've got that honeymoon period. Let's actually be raw about it. Let's actually ask for decent feedback from candidates and going, hey, you're in process for this job here. How did you find it? Because I guarantee you, if it was a really shit experience, they've got no problem telling you that. Yeah. But again, people don't want to know, because you could easily do that, couldn't you? Send that a survey. I get when I call my telecoms company, how was your call today? Rate it out of 10. They could do that with TA. No one wants to. No one wants to basically drink the juice and know how bad their function is. Everyone's hiding behind the fact of, we'll put in KPIs of time to hire, interview ratios to offer, which, again, it's just a flawed metric. Let's look at the real thing as to what's the current issue right now in TA, focus on candidate experience, and the overall feeling they get in the process, because we all know that bad experiences spread like wildfire. And it's the weirdest construct, right? If you're a customer going to a restaurant and you get a bad meal, what do you do about it? You tweet it, you put it on Instagram, you tell everyone, I went to this restaurant here, the fish was cold. They'll be like, oh, sorry, Chris, like, how can we make it better for you and your family? Like, we're really, really sorry. Like, what can we do to make it right? And they'll act on that because you've been posted. You do that in TA and say, I interviewed I'll make it up, Coca-Cola. I didn't, by the way, they're a good company. But, I was ghosted by the head of TA and this and that. You put that on LinkedIn, you're seen as being the problem. You're seen as being bitter and that you didn't get the job. But in reality, you're doing the same thing that you did if you went to a restaurant, had a bad meal, but on LinkedIn, you're suddenly, Dom's bitter, he'll be a problematic candidate. No, I just want a fair process that's being delivered in a way that's in line with I guess, what I'm expecting as a candidate. So there's that there as well. That's kind of an issue.
Yeah, interesting. And you did mention earlier about companies doing more with less and looking at AI and automation to save the day. Do you think it's going to solve all our problems?
That's all the talks are right now, right? You go to any TA conference, leveraging AI to make recruitment better. And it's ironic because right now we treat people like shit, to put bluntly. Like we treat candidates like shit. So you saying that I'm going to put AI in to make it better, let's start talking to candidates and dealing with them as humans first and making it more human-centric before going even further right field and having AI and computers do it for us. It can be leveraged right in the right way to remove things like scheduling, writing job adverts or pre-screening candidates. But the irony is that companies are saving money, letting people go in TA, and you're spending money getting in AI. So you're then almost kind of doing away with the resource that you need that has that emotional intelligence that perhaps AI doesn't have to bring in AI. So it's that kind of trade-off where everyone's talking about it. Very few are doing it, but they're still laying off people.
Yeah.
So it can be leveraged in the right way to support it, right? So you can do less with more. I think also as well, look, as societally, we want to do things like quicker. So if you can get onto a chatbot in recruitment and talk to them and know that you're going to get feedback, imagine that, right? You can't get hold of someone at a company for weeks and weeks and weeks. Then you get AI and you go, right, I haven't heard from somebody. I'll flag, I'll sort it, or just even schedule interviews. People will appreciate that as candidates, and it's just that whole access to information faster, or the more simplistic approach to go in and managing it, where it's not going to take weeks and weeks and weeks to kind of book someone in. So there are elements to AI that can benefit a company by basically having less resource of headcount with AI. But I think right now it's that sort of thing where people hear about it and they're all coming to sessions and seminars and events asking the questions. But as companies, right, we're still not actually buying into it, fully investing into it. I've been in countless meetings around, do we want it? What are the parameters? Because you're giving it access to your whole entire, your database, your framework. So will it benefit us in time? 100%. I think that it's the kind of way moving forward to remove the cumbersome work to allow people in TA to go back to being people partners, talking to candidates, holding that emotional tie to them, being their brand ambassadors, storytellers, actually guiding candidates through the process, knowing full well that AI automation has their back and removes that. Because let's face it, we'll probably find recruiters now, it's a cliche, but recruiters are all bad at admin. They're not, but it's, I used to always say when I was in recruitment, I hire roles, but my admin's poor. And it was true. It's very rare to meet someone who's like on top of their admin with their offers and filling roles.
Yeah.
So you're almost satisfying that almost problem space with the AI, right? But in doing so, you always got to basically then, right, cool, we've solved the problem of doing all the automation, but now we're going to measure on real people metrics for your candidates, because now you've got no excuse now. You have to go and manage candidates better and those partnerships better with them, because we've kind of done half a job for it's all automated. So then I would like to think that the spotlight's probably deeper now or in the future on candidate experience, because you've then been given the time from AI automation to kind of do that. That's my vision anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So that we're maybe not there quite yet, but the future looks like all the admin part of your jobs that's taking up your time and maybe causing some of this issue around the kind of dehumanized experience. Now we have more time to do that stuff.
Yeah.
That's very optimistic. I love that. It's a very optimistic view of that we're going to become more human in our approach by using technology, which is...
I hope so. I mean, to your point, now you're right. There's less people in a TA role. the roles, I don't know if you noticed still, the roles haven't dwindled. There's still roles people have been hiring for.
Yeah.
But you have, again, like the recruiter role, right? 400 CVs in an hour. Like, as a recruiter, how do you manage that?
Yeah.
And it's the way it's basically fair for everyone, because I've been told simply, look, hey, Dom, you're in place for this role now, an interview, because you referred. I haven't even looked at the 400 CVs yet that applied.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's a common trend in the market right now. So I think, recruitment's also fractured, but also it's about people now, and I think people like Hung Lee said it, personal brand is key now as well. So to kind of stand out in your job search as well as candidates, personal branding and networking is the way forward, because that's how I've gotten to where I've gotten to, luckily. Had it not have been, I'd probably be working in a chip shop right now.
Yeah, personal brand is definitely, I think, the future of building that distribution for yourself, an opportunity for sure. Now, I want to touch on, there was this huge boom cycle recently for recruiting, the kind of 2021, where, like you said, there was more recruiter roles and software engineers. People were getting ridiculous salaries, very junior people were getting promoted into very senior positions or hired into senior positions. I guess there's two questions I have for you. One, do you think that was a good thing for the TA space? And two, do you think it's coming back anytime soon?
First question, no. You have people that had 2 or 3 years experience on like TA partner salary 60, 80k, which is just bonkers, right?
Yeah.
Like, there was the demand that was needed, and people had to basically plug gaps and fill holes. The problem you've now got is people were joining TA roles, perhaps even joining companies on bigger salaries and bigger job titles, right? Because again, to fill that demand. What you probably got is people were dragged into management as well. People saw as well that there was this whole desire to go and hire. You had this almost like a parcel of TA. Someone was leave one company for 5k more, 10k more. So to keep people, they said, right, we'll put you as a manager. We'll give you a pay rise. The problem is that people get dragged into management, can't manage. So you have people that are in these roles here that are then making choices, which could, in a sense, affect candidate experience. People are obviously being paid silly money as well, expect it. You have the Meta layoffs, people then coming from Meta, going to places like hospitality, like hotels going, I was 100k as a senior sourcer. Good for you, good luck. You're not going to get it here.
Yeah.
So it almost, again, did create this sort of space about recruiters having their rock star moment for that one period of time where they were in demand. And of course, those that went to market and got the best money then become accustomed to living on that lifestyle and that money. So of course, when the ball drops, it's tough. And of course, people, and I've had it myself, people who have heads of TAs on good money taking recruiter roles now, and it's just, I think that didn't help. And I think also people, I've sat in my journey of obviously finding roles the last 6 months, sat with heads of TA, people have been quite senior directors, and I said, look, what were your thoughts on that period there as well, to kind of see if it was just me. And they go, honestly, we hired a lot of people during that time period there, and it's a divide. Some people, great sourcers, headhunters, will go to market and get the right people, will network and business partner. Others just hide behind LinkedIn Recruiter and just applications and just basically just feed CVs through. So you probably got, again, a disconnect there of recruiters that are probably joined in the boom, that probably aren't that good at what they do. They're scared of getting found out. So, of course, do you want to hire somebody who potentially could come in and do a better job than you, then be like, oh, Chris, we've hired 3 staff now. Actually, we realise now that you actually steal a living, probably best that you go. So there's a lot of fear there, obviously, right now. I think that's what I found too as well, is that right now, given what happened 3 years ago, people feel threatened by people like that as well. And then your second question was?
Do you think it's coming back anytime soon?
Social, macroeconomical climate would say no, right? Obviously, the US election is quite key, isn't it, as well, what's happening there. The UK election, as this whole September surge, did you see a September surge in hiring? I didn't.
Nope.
No. So people will sit there and kind of give their finger in the air and go, I predict this will happen next year. I can't tell what's happening next week in the current market. So people are saying by 2025 we're going to have this. Like, where are you getting this from? Where's your crystal ball? Like, what's AI telling you? Because whatever it's telling you, I think companies would learn from 2021 and not offer silly salaries, because if it happens soon, you're going to get this almost like basically a start from basically feast or famine, where everyone's on the market. So if you then went to market now and start offering silly money again, it's almost counterproductive, because the market's buoyant.
Yeah. Back
then it wasn't buoyant. So it's I hope not put it that way, because again, it's almost like a rinse and repeat. It almost is seasonal.
Yeah.
How it happens, and people said it's even been worse right now than the 2008 crash. That's bonkers, right?
100%. You know, there are those people that are predicting a boom every 2 months. You know, you see them on LinkedIn. But yeah, I think TA just needs some stability. Like that's how I feel. And a lot of the TA leaders that I speak to, they've seen more change in the last 2 to 5 years than they have in their whole 10, 20-year career. It doesn't feel like the change is slowing down, but hopefully we have a bit more stability and we're not going to go up and down and crazy. Okay, so to round stuff off, I'm really interested in your kind of quick kind of checklist. If you're thinking about all the problems that you're seeing at the moment in TA, what are the 3 things that all TA leaders should focus on foundationally to get right?
I think process, right, there's a lot of process mapping needs doing, how you treat your candidates, but also as well, how your TA staff engage with your stakeholders and leaders, right? Because a good TA partner should basically partner, consult, also be not afraid to push back on people having champagne requirements and lemonade salaries, for example. So process is important. I guess the structure behind how we're going to basically move through the process. You also need to kind of have vision as well as to what good looks like for the future, because right now people are saying, oh, you know, they're hiring in bulk and having to let people go because they TA leaders don't work out their headcount forecasts, right? They hire for the moment, they don't hire for the future, which of course then causes all these layoffs, right? So I think also as well, looking at where you can leverage technology, right, to basically support your business right now. And I think you need to also make sure TA is getting a seat at the table, because right now it's seen as like the ugly sister of HR, in my opinion, and the way of like it's a passing thought, when in reality, what we do as a function is revenue generating. We generate revenue for the business by getting in people that either make money, save money, explore markets, expand markets, create things. So I think it's a case of TA leaders actually spend time championing your brand and function, but don't do that until you are certain that it obviously works, it's a well-oiled machine, that it's fit for purpose. And I'd also encourage every TA leader to do a little bit like Undercover Millionaire. I would love every TA leader to kind of create a faux profile that matches one of the jobs they have there and put themselves through their own candidate experience. Because I tell you what, they would learn a lot and see what's wrong there. So maybe we should start like a little undercover head of TA or CPO to kind of go in as someone as a candidate and see what they get.
That's a really interesting idea. I think it would uncover some very
It would shock a lot of people, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would. Like, it'd be mind-blowing. Like, the ones I reached out to, if they saw it, they would be mind-blown. So, there you go. Maybe it's a future little spin-off as well. Yeah.
Right, so to finish on an optimistic note, what are you most excited about for the future of TA?
I think the technology, right? Like, we've just seen this boom of TA can now do things they couldn't do even 2 years ago, right? Scheduling, like gamification, the engagement piece with candidates. It's easy to get carried away and be like, I want everything, to make it a lot more engaging to candidates, a lot more simplistic to us as TA people. I think it's a case of, look, start to almost look at what good looks like now, 6, 9, 12, 18 months, and leverage that technology, because I love people. I got into TA because I love not helping people, because I always say go and be a carer, but I love a problem space. I love looking at the vision of a company and how I can help impact and deliver that, whether it's, you know. So I think a lot of it is I'm excited about the whole use of AI and technology, but I think it's a case of I want to be excited about it, but the next role I go into as a head of TA, I don't want to do anything with it until I can be sure that my team is treating candidates fairly, good processes, it's slick, and people actually enjoy being contacted by my team. They enjoy the experience, because once I know as humans we can do it, as a human TA function, we can deliver quality conversations, detailed feedback, and a slick process. Only then will I start to look at how AI can then almost make my team's life easier, because I know then that the gold standard's there from them. But it's then how do I then basically support them by saying, right, you're great at people, now let me give you some tools to help schedule interviews. Then you can again be an even better people partner. So that's kind of what I want to do, is just, I'm optimistic about the future. I love tech and AI. It's just leveraging it at the right time and the right place, and also knowing why you want it. Not to say it's a flex to say we use AI. Cool, but why do you use AI? What's your true ROI on it? What's the benefit you want as a function to why it's in your business? If you can't answer that, don't put it in there.
Great. Where can people find you?
Up until recently, it was like street corners because I didn't have a job. So no, so on LinkedIn quite heavily. So always on LinkedIn. I'm on TikTok now as well.
Oh,
yeah. So I think it's like the careers guy. Yeah, I got told by someone that's where the money is. So of course I've got to build back up the savings. Yeah, and that's where you can find me. Basically, usually, literally, TikTok and the careers guy, and LinkedIn, Dominic Joyce.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Dom. Really enjoyed the conversation. And if you enjoyed it, please don't forget to subscribe and follow for future episodes. Thank you.